Hello everyone, this is Joypearlinlucia, working as an assistant professor in the PG and Research Department of English at St. Joseph College of Arts and Science, Autonomous, Cuddalore. Well, I would like to share a few words about a poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, which was written by one of the most eminent and the very first Asian rewardee for the Nobel Prize in Literature. That is none other than the great Rabindranath Tagore, who won a Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1930. So, coming to this poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, is actually an extract which was taken from one of his very famous work, Gitanjali, which was written by him. And this poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, is considered as the 35th poem that is included in the work Gitanjali. So considering the background of this poem, before entering into the detailed explanation of that poem, I would like to share a few words about the background situation, in which situation Tagore composed such a poem which is very good in its lyrical sense, as well as in its poetic theme, as well as the literary terms or the poetic qualities that we can find in this poem. So Rabindranath Tagore wrote this poem in the year 1910 and published it in the collection of the anthology called Gitanjali. Okay, so he wrote this poem during a period where the India was ruled by the British, which means a pre-independence. He wrote this poem during the pre-independence movement. So in that kind of a situation, when India is being colonized, when India is under the slavery of British, all that we need is the freedom. So Rabindranath Tagore, being a great patriotic and also a man who just loved his nation very much, come up with such a beautiful poem. So all this poem, in this poem, we can see the theme of freedom that was deeply penetrated in each and every word that Rabindranath came upon with. So all that he needs is the poem yearns for the freedom and the unity, and it finds a responsibility for the deliverance in every citizen. So through this poem, Rabindranath Tagore portrays the beautiful world, the imaginative world that he really wants to get in his future when India gets its freedom. Let me read the poem for you. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches his arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habits, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. So this is the beautiful poem that we can see the beautiful words that has been used by Rabindranath Tagore in order to give a fragment of freedom, in order to give a sense of freedom to its people who are longing and yearning to get liberated under the British rule. So in the first line, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, he is coming to say that he wants the world, he is expecting for a world where people will walk without any fear, without any discrimination, or without any injustice, without any fear to live, and they want to live their life by keeping their heads held high. So he wants the people to live with dignity, to live with self-respect, that is most important in the society, which has been very much lagging during the British period for our Indian citizens. So in the second line, where the knowledge is free, he is coming to say that he wants the world, he wants the country where the knowledge is very free. Knowledge is free from any discriminations. Knowledge is free from any casteism. Knowledge which is free from any status quo. So he wants that freedom, that knowledge, which means education. Education should be given to each and every single individual, each and every child in the world or in the country, without seeing any discrimination, despite of their caste, creed, religion, and all other stuff. So coming into the next line, where the world has not been broken up into the fragments by narrow domestic wall. Here, by narrow domestic wall, it means that the discriminations or the inequalities, the partialities that has been spread or played all over the world or played all over the country amidst the people, the thing which into divides the people or splits the people into different levels, that is the caste, the religion, or the status, or the financial background, and all other stuffs which divides the people into different levels, which causes chaos among the people, which makes people to forget about their brotherhood and fight against each other. He wants the world where the people cannot find themselves separated from any of these narrow domestic walls that has been mentioned by him. And coming into the next line, where words come out from the depth of truth. By this line, he means that people should talk the truth. He wants to see the world, he wants to see the country where people will come out with the truth, people will live for truth, people will speak for truth, people will stand for truth. It is want each and every individual, the citizens, to come out with the truthness in their words. And from the next line, where tireless striving stretches his arms towards perfection. Through this line, it means that each and every individual should be an hard-working person. By the word arms towards perfection, he indicates that how an individual should be an hard-working person in order to get satisfactions in his life, in order to get liberty for their own life. So he wants every individual to be a very hardworking person. He don't want anyone to lay sloth or to live in the money of other or live under the shelter of other. No, he wants each and every individual to work for the freedom, to march towards the freedom, to work very hard in order to get themselves away from the British rule. And in the next line, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Through this line, he wants people to think logically. Through these words, dreary desert sand of dead habit, he mentions the old traditions and the customs which brings inequality among the people, which makes people to think insanely, which makes people to live to live under the darkness, to live with impartiality, to live with partiality among them. He wants people to think for the reason. He wants people to live with the reason. He wants people to see and look at things with a logical eyes, and not to be betrayed or not to be distracted by any other old traditions or superstitions that people has been following so far in their life. So he wants each and every individual to stand for a reason, to think reasonably, to think logically, in spite of all the distractions or all the old traditions that they have faced in their life. So you want the young generation to think, to come up with facts, to come up with science, and to come up with reasons, and to come up with the justifiable thoughts, than just simply believing in the old tradition that has been given by the old people. So in the next line, he says that where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and actions. So here after giving the idea of his own expectation, finally he would like to end his poem by surrendering the prayers, or getting the help, or asking for the help of the Almighty. The word the Thee here mentions about the God, the Almighty. So Rabindranath Tagore would like to end up his prayer. So we can see that this poem is a kind of a prayer, or a kind of a expectations, or the desire an individual have inside his heart, and wants it to be and wants all this dream to come true in his life. So finally he ends this poem by praying to God. But he is asking the God to awaken the thoughts and actions of the individual, each and every individual who has been sleeping under the shades of inequality, who has been sleeping under the shades of partiality, who has been sleeping under the discrimination of caste, creed, religion, and all other stuffs, thereby fighting amongst themselves. So he wants the Almighty God to wake up the minds of these people. And in the last line, he says that into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. So through this line, he mentions that he wants his country to get the freedom, the taste of freedom. He wants his people, he wants each and every individual of his country to taste the essence of freedom and how liberating that it will be. And that freedom will awaken the sleeping country, the country which is sleeping with death, with discriminations, with casteisms, with all these things. Let that country awaken from all these things, and let the country should give the freedom that we need. So in this poem, he also says that freedom is something which can be attained only through the means of unity and harmony among the people. And he insists a kind of a unity among each and every individual, brotherhood, that is very much needed in order to break all the prejudice or the superstition that divides the people in groups and breaks their unity. So he says that everyone should act according to their rational thinking. They should be a rational thinking, and they should not be emotional distractions, or there should not be any old beliefs that should decimate, or that will prevent the people from coming up with a beautiful country, with a country of heaven, which he compares with none other than the freedom. So I guess that this video will be helpful for you all to get a glimpse of idea about this poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, which was written by a great author, Rabindranath Tagore. Thank you.